All right, if you've been watching me for any amount of time, you understand about the eclipses. The eclipses making an X, and where this X is made is called Little Egypt. Now, and this is in southern Illinois. Southern Illinois, Little Egypt. Now, the amazing thing about this, to me, and which I just found out yesterday, is why it is called Little Egypt, where these eclipses are making the X marks the spot right here. This is the important thing to me. Now, the reason that it got its name, Little Egypt, is because in the 1800s, around 1820, there was a drought in Illinois. And at this time, they had wagons. They weren't like us today. They were wagon trail, right? The Oregon Trail. And in the 1820s, what happened is people from northern Illinois had this drought, and so they had to travel by wagon and things like this to southern Illinois around this area to get food, grain, and things like this. So this place got the nickname Little Egypt because that's exactly what happened in the book of Genesis with Joseph and all the 12. Is that there was a 7-year famine period. 7 years, get it? 7-year famine. And 2 years into the famine, they ran out and they had to go to Egypt. So the same type of scenario happened in the early 1800s. They ran out. Northern Illinois had to go down to southern Illinois to get their goods. Hence, they named it Little Egypt. And this is the crazy part, is that if you've been following me for a while, you understand that I've been comparing these last days to that story. I've been saying that the last 7 years we've been in, and 2 years into the last 7 years, in the story of Joseph, it was said there was a great deliverance. Hence, the rapturo, the harpazo, the great deliverance, the man-child being caught up. Now, this is the amazing thing, is that of all places that these eclipses could have made this X, it's crossing it. The X marks the spot in the middle of the X is Little Egypt. Going back to the story thousands of years ago in the Bible of Joseph and all 12 of Israel and Little Egypt, the same scenario. I mean, the odds. The odds. So what am I saying? Well, from the last Shemitah, 2022, that was the last year on a 7-year pattern. 2023 was the first year. 2024 is the second year. 2 years into the last 7 years. What happened with Joseph? 2 years into the last 7 years. There was a great deliverance, and they went up to the Father's house. I'm not going to say the R word, right? But I'm letting you know patterns are prophecy. And there was a lady on here, Brenda Weltner, who must have watched one of my videos or two of my videos or a few of my videos. And she said, well, there's no connection, because I had made the claim that same pattern is playing out. She said there's no connection between the last days here and the story of Joseph and the 7 years of famine. Well, in fact, it's all about the story of Joseph and the 7 years of famine, because these eclipses are the most talked about thing ever. I've never seen all channels cover the same exact thing. These eclipses making an X across Little Egypt. But I only one time, that's how I know, only one time I heard somebody say why it's called Little Egypt. And it's because of what happened in the early 1800s mirrors what happened in Egypt with Joseph. And I've been saying that. That whole pattern is processing itself out again. Ecclesiastes 1:9. What was done will be done again. There's no new thing under the sun. And Ecclesiastes 3:15. That which is done has to be repeated. God requires this. Things, patterns repeat themselves. That's why it's biblical process. The odds. It's not just me claiming that now. Now it's all up easy to see. The odds of the X, of these eclipses, the middle of it landing on Little Egypt. I mean, there's a lot of other places like they cross Ninevehs, 7 Ninevehs and 7 Salems, and a place called Rapture, and all these things, right? And it's happening under the constellations Cetus, I think, or Cetus, which is a whale, like the sign of Jonah. This is all great stuff. But nobody's saying why Southern Illinois is called Little Egypt, because it got nicknamed that because it mimicked the pattern of the story of Joseph in Egypt in Genesis. And that happened in the early 1800s. And above all places, come on, guys. Come on, you got to see this, man. This is freaking crazy. Of all places, these eclipses making an X, landing on Little Egypt right here. Southern Illinois. That's God talking as loud as he can, saying, wake up, wake up. It's either time to go home or time for big things, other big things to happen. That's what that is. 1, 2, 3, 4.